me. Good evening. This is Reverend Sherri. I am the creator of the Metaphysical Bible Hangout, and we are at the end of a wonderful series. We have been working with some original material. I developed a lesson, full lesson around the story of the Elisha with the widow and the oil, and it is actually the foundation for a book that I am writing called I Am My Own Miracle. And it is, I love this story. It's one of my favorite Bible stories. It was probably one of the first stories that I looked at and I said, okay, what was Jesus thinking when he heard this story? Like what went through his mind and how did it influence him as a teacher? And because it's such an extraordinary story. I have lived with this story for a number of years. To even just start to develop it for a book, I worked with it for 90 days, literally reading the same story every morning and just journaling whatever came up. And the wonder of wonders, every time I sat down to do it, something fresh came up. And even now, as I'm representing this information to you, I haven't finished the book, but looking at the information now, I can see why I didn't, because there's still so much to this story. So I really love it, and I'm so happy to share it with you. Just a little bit about me. I am the senior minister of Up Church, which is a Bible-based New Thought church in Los Angeles. It was founded by the Reverend Dr. Della Reese-Lett. And I am the minister, along with Reverend Sherri Thompson, that she passed the torch to when she retired earlier this year. And we have been carrying on in her name. And so if you're ever in the Los Angeles area, we would be delighted to have you join us. It would be an honor to have you in our spiritual home. So come on down to Inglewood and have a good old God party with us. So tonight, we are concluding, as I mentioned, we are working with the final verse in this story. The story appears in 2 Kings, and we are looking at verse 7 only. We're going to get started here. I got a couple of announcements. Then we'll do opening prayer, and then we'll just look at that 7th verse, and then we'll look at what it means to go sell the oil. And then we'll look at how to know when to take action, and 3 questions you can ask yourself before you take action, and then we'll have Q&A. So to get us started, I have a blog at revsherri.com. It is the companion blog. So I marry the whatever we're doing in the Bible Hangout, I marry it to the blog post. And so I encourage you, while they're covering the same subjects, inevitably something different comes out in the written form than it does in the spoken form. And so I encourage you to sign up for my newsletter at revsherri.com, and you will be able to follow along with whatever series we are in at that moment. My new teleseminar, so I am really excited. One of the things that I do is I really try to work with Spirit with everything that I'm doing. And so this is a class that I started talking about back in April. And it is now near the end of June, and I am still adding more things to it. And, I had to take a little break to handle some personal stuff, but I am excited. And so I do believe I'll be able to begin announcing it in the next couple of weeks. I think I should have gotten that water. All right. Now, I've been in the news. There is a website called Successful Startup 101, and they wrote a 2-part article called Successfully Managing Employees of All Ages, and they quoted me, which is like crazy to me. But they thought I had something to say, which is awesome. So if you go to successfulstartup101.com, you'll be able to read the article and see me quoted in there. It's a wonderful article. Has a lot of great suggestions, and I recommend taking a look at it. The scripture for this 4-part series is John 14:12. Very truly I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works that I do, and in fact will do greater works than these. Everything that we are studying is about greater works. We simply want to be better than we have ever been before. And what has happened before has been good, but we are putting aside good because we're going for great. And when we get to great, we're headed on to phenomenal. And so right where you are, if you would simply relax yourself and allow your attention to settle on your breath. There is only one power. There is only one presence. That power, that presence is God, the good, omnipotent, the everywhere, evenly present spirit of absolute good. We call forth that presence right now. It lies at the very center of our being. It is the truth of who we are when we put down the personality. All that remains is the spirit. Father, Mother God, we want to really know ourselves as you. Share yourself with us in a new way this evening. Let us move from this space inspired, open, receptive, ready to do your will. I ask that you guide this class, guide the conversations that we have with one another. Let everything that we do tonight be done for your glory. Let everything that we do bring out the best in ourselves. I surrender this class to you, and I expect it to be our best session ever. Thank you, God. In the name and through the power that is in the name of Christ Jesus, I affirm that it is so, and so it is, and amen. Okay, let's jump right in. So we're working only with the 7th verse, and that's 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 7, and it reads, "She came and told the man of God, and he said, 'Go, sell the oil, pay your debts, and you and your children can live on the rest.'" Go, sell the oil, pay your debts, and you and your children can live on the rest. The words that are in red are the words that appear in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Now, the she refers to the widow, so you're actually looking up the widow consciousness. And then the man of God, of course, refers to Elisha. So what you would be looking up would be Elisha. And then the word oil appears in the revealing word. Incidentally, just so you know how those two books are divided, the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary is a compilation of proper names. So everywhere that there is a name of a city, a name of a person, a name of a place, a name of a mountain, but proper names, that's what you're going to find in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. In the Revealing Word, it's a compilation of metaphysical definitions of common terms. So not proper nouns, but just nouns. So that's the difference between those two books. Both of them are pretty extensive. It is a remarkable work that Fillmore accomplished in his lifetime. And if you don't have it in your library, I would highly suggest that you add it to your library. And if you are interested in finding an online resource, let me direct you to truthunity.net. Truthunity.net. So moving forward, so the red words were what I had highlighted, and what I mentioned that the she referred to the wife or the widow, and that really should say widow, because a wife is not a state of consciousness that believes in the separation from God, but consciousness that believes in separation from God or the source of being. The widow state of mind is the state of mind that believes itself to be separate and apart from God. In truth, none of us, whether we believe it or not, is ever separate from our Creator. We are so intertwined with our Creator that nothing could separate us from it. In fact, it would be hard to say, here is where I begin, and or here's where God begins and here's where I end, or vice versa. It is that intertwined. It is interlocked in such a way that it would be like trying to pull apart a fine gold necklace that got tangled. And if you have an image, if you've ever had a nice necklace that got tangled up, and you're sitting there with, like a toothpick trying to pick it apart, it's that same concept, that you are so intertwined with the Spirit of God that there is no beginning and there is no ending to you. All right. What we're doing here. I see some people trying to get in. Oh, sorry guys, it's full. You can actually watch at revsherri.com. Growing. How awesome is that? But sorry about that. Yeah, it's full. So once it hits 10 seats, meaning I'm one of the 10 seats, it basically no one else can get in. So I definitely encourage you to get in early when you can. So anyway, the widow state of consciousness. The widow state of consciousness believes itself to be separate from God, and that's how the woman shows up. And anytime you see a widow in the Bible, that's usually how she shows up. She shows up in some way believing that she does not have what she needs. Even there's another miracle linked to with the widow and the I want to say cornbread. but it's like cake, and you can tell what's on my mind. And but he has her basically make him a cake with what she has left, and it was what she planned to kind of eat and die, and she ends up preparing for him, and then that gift ends up multiplying in her life. But the widow always comes into the story believing herself to not have all of what she needs. We know that doesn't just apply to women. There are men in a widow state of mind. Anyone in a state they are somehow separate and apart from the Spirit of God is in that state of consciousness. And the way that you redeem that state of consciousness is through the I am. And so that is the communion that is happening between the widow and Elisha, because Elisha represents the spiritual I am. This man of God represents the spiritual I am. So in this story, he's standing in the place and functioning as the spiritual I am. So when you're looking at the story metaphysically, you're not looking at a widow talking to a prophet. What you're really looking to is a state of mind coming under the dominion of the I am. We are meant to bring those states of mind that believe themselves to be separate from God under the dominion of the I am. And we allow the I am to heal it. And how do we work I am? It is through our thinking, our feeling, and our speaking. I am health. So that widow state of mind that believes you to be separate from your health, when you bring it under the dominion of the I am health. I am wellness. I am strong. I think it's Joel 3:10, let the weak say, I am strong. That you must bring those states of mind, what we in New Thought call error states of mind. You must bring those error, E-R-R-O-R, error states of mind under the dominion of the I am. And when you do that, the I am will redeem it. And here's the thing, that state of mind is not destroyed. Nothing is ever destroyed. Energy is not created or destroyed. Energy is transmuted. So all of that energy that's wrapped up in that widow state of mind, believing itself to be separate, is now transmuted, right? We're alchemists. It is transmuted into a state of mind that understands itself to be connected to God. And so the discipline of the mystic is to recognize when you're in the widow state or in another error state of mind, whether it is sadness or depression or anger or frustration or whatever it is to bring that state of mind under the dominion of the I am. What we tend to do is we tend to wallow in it. And so we have a pity party, we hang decorations, we invite friends, and we build a whole lifestyle around a negative state of mind, as opposed to doing the work and pushing through to bring it under the dominion of the I am. And so this is what Elisha represents. Now the oil represents the oil of life. It is the vital fluid that renews and reanimates the body in the regeneration. Regeneration is a term that you will hear from Fillmore. In Fillmorean theology, the belief is that we are regenerating the body, not this physical body, although when we regenerate, it will outpicture in the body, but we are regenerating the spiritual body. And we are working with the Christ, meaning not Jesus, because Jesus is an example of how you actualize the Christ into expression. So every one of us has the potential to reach Christhood. That you are working with the Christ, the great I am, the spiritual I am, which is a formless, endless, inexhaustible, I'm going to say entity, because that would suggest that somehow it's separate and apart from us, and we're not separate and apart, and it's a part of who we are even if we don't recognize it. But in that regeneration process, we are working with the Christ of our being, which is the very center, the essence of us, to regenerate the spiritual body. And as you regenerate the spiritual body, the mortal body transforms. That is the belief that Fillmore teaches and practiced. And one of the things that he did and proved in his experience was that he practiced healing himself and regrew his leg. And his leg was withered, and he had an accident, it wasn't skiing, but it was on ice or something, but in the winter, and it withered his leg, and so there was a point at which I don't remember which leg stopped growing. And using these principles that I'm sharing with you, he used that to regrow his leg. And so he used to walk, you've seen people where one leg is shorter than the other, and so they'll have a kind of a step or a boot that helps, balance the legs out. Well, he had that for a number of years. And using these spiritual principles, he learned to regenerate his body. So when you read through Fillmore, you're going to read a lot about regeneration. In fact, most of the pioneers of the New Thought movement in this country, all of them come out of some kind of healing. Johnny Coleman had been given 6 months to live. Sheila McKeithen had been given 6 days to live. Charles Fillmore was supposed to be disabled for his entire life. Myrtle Fillmore had been a sickly child and had been sick for a good part of her adulthood until she stumbled into E.B. Weeks's class. Same with Mary Baker Eddy. Mary Baker Eddy was, I don't know if she had a near-death experience, but certainly came back from a very serious, debilitating illness that was supposed to kill her. So healing is a part of this. What started to happen in the 1920s is you got people like Wallace Wattles and Robert Collier and folks like that started, Napoleon Hill, that started looking at this teaching and saying, wait a minute, if it applies to health, it applies to money. So it's not just my health, but it's also my wealth. And so you start to see these men writing about prosperity. And so a lot of the great prosperity texts that we talk about today come out of people looking at this healing movement and saying, wait a minute, God doesn't just show up as my health, God will show up as my money. And they took these same principles and put them to work in their finances. And so you'll read about the Carnegies and the Rockefellers who use these principles to create great wealth in their life. And the same is available to you. God will show up however you ask the Spirit to press out into your experience, and it's all based on how you think. It's all based on your thinking, because your thinking is what sets the law in motion. Your thinking is what moves I am into action, and I am will not lie for you. So even if you never say the words I am broke, but you carry yourself in such a way, and that's your dominant statement, whether it ever comes out of your mouth or not, I am cannot lie for you. It can only outpicture for you what is true and what is for you and coming out of your mouth. It doesn't say, oh, God, no, she's created in the image likeness. I'm not going to make her broke, because she can't be broke, right? It's going to say, your wish is my command. This is the experience that you're calling in. And for the widow, this was the experience that she was calling in. She was calling in a debtor's experience. And what you find about people who call in a debtor's experience, they have debt no matter what their circumstances are. Everybody can be prospering and they will find a way to be in debt because it's a consciousness. So you must transmute the energy, transmute the consciousness to move into a wealth state of mind. And you do that through working with the I am. I am wealth. I am so happy and so grateful that now money comes to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources and on a continuous basis. And your words are what set I am into motion. Daniel 10:12, one of my favorite verses. It knocked me to my feet a couple of years ago when I read it. It's the angel comes to Daniel and is talking to him, and at first Daniel is afraid. He says, "Do not be afraid, for I have come because of your words. For from the first day that you humbled your heart to know God, your words were heard, and I have come because of your words." The word, how to think. Because if I just solve your problem, then you are indebted for a lifetime. Right? And I might want to be in Bora Bora, or I might want to be in. If I solve your problem for a day, I'm not doing you any favors. But if I teach you how to heal yourself, then I can be in Bora Bora, and then you can begin teaching someone else. You have something that you can pass on. So Elisha is a true teacher. He's not just solving her problem, he's teaching her how to think. And that's what a true teacher does. True teacher never teaches you what to think, because what to think is up to you. A true teacher teaches you how to think. How do I use this mechanism called thought? How do I get ahead of or in cooperation with the inner conversation that is always and already happening inside my head? You do know that, right? There is this continual conversation that is happening in our heads. Continual. And your conversation is saying all kinds of things all during the day. Most people identify with the conversation in their head, and so they're unaware that you can separate, if you will, from that conversation and slow it down. This is one of the values of meditation, that you can slow down that conversation and focus it on one point. And so your mastery comes in mastering the inner conversation. You don't want to master me or somebody else. You want to master your inner conversation. Why? Because that is constantly setting I am in motion. And whatever you're saying to yourself on a continuous basis all day long, that is what I am is bringing back to you. And so generally, because it's beneath the surface and most of us are not living mindfully, we are unaware of the stuff that's running on in our minds. And we say, well, how did I think the thought that produced the accident? And it's like, baby, you got a conversation happening in your head 24/7 while you're awake and while you're asleep. Who knows accident? So the affirmations and these spiritual tools are for the purpose of getting ahead of a conversation that is already happening. Any questions? I keep hearing like beeps and all kind of stuff, so I don't know if somebody is trying to reach me or what. I'm going to go back to the thing because I got off track a little bit. All right, so go sell the oil. So the main lesson out of go sell the oil is that I am has all your answers. I am has all your answers. So I'm going to try to say this in a way that makes it make sense. When you begin to use I am, meaning the words I am, which is the name of God, which is a spiritual formula, when you begin to use the words I am, however you use them, you then draw experiences that require you to prove whatever it is that you have said. Marvin wrote, "Go sell the oil" is an action step. Yes, go. But before that, it was go borrow vessels, and then shut the door and pour the oil. You know, we've read this story so much, but if you could just step back for a second and consider that selling the oil may not have been the next logical step in her mind. Or, and this is what really made me understand her as a disciple of Elisha, and I really understand her as a prophetess, and not just this broke down widow who couldn't take care of herself, is that she follows his instructions to the letter. And that's what a disciple does. A disciple listens to what you say, and then the disciple goes and carries it out to the letter, because you live what it is that you're being taught. And so she goes and carries out to the letter what Elisha tells her to do. So, and the thing is that, don't you think she thought the oil could be sold? But a student that is in the learning process is humble enough and has enough humility to go back to the teacher and say, okay, now what next? I mean, she may have presumed that the oil was the next right step, but it's like, you know what, I'm working with the I am, and I got to come out of this situation. They're trying to take my son, so I don't have the luxury of running off cowboy style and kind of winging it. I need precise instructions. And so even though she has all of this oil, which she's in this community, she's got to know that the oil has value. She's got to know that there's a market for the oil. But she makes the decision to go back to Elisha for additional instructions. And she is modeling for us how we are meant to work with I am. So many times we fly off half-cocked. We think we got it. All right, God, I got it. I'll take it from here. You know, you good. Good looking out. And it's like, that's not how it works. You have got to constantly work with the Spirit. It is your ever-present, constant advisor, always with you. And so she makes the decision to go back to Elijah to get additional information that somebody would look and say, duh, it's a no-brainer. You got oil. Even in 21st century America, oil will do you good, right? You get enough oil in some vessels, baby. They got a show coming on now, I think on ABC. What is it called? It's like Texas. It's got the guy from Dallas that was in it. Oh, what is that show called? It's a summer replacement show. Anyway, the point is that oil in today's society is valuable. So surely oil back then was even more valuable. Don't you think she knew that there was a market for it? But as a disciple, it is that, you know what, I'm not willing to make one false step. I'm going to go back to my teacher and ask for the next step and get clear. I'm going to humble myself. When you become teachable is when you can have all of your needs met. It is when you know it all that you run into the roadblocks. We are constantly reminded to be open, and this is one of the meanings when Jesus says that become like the little child. Not that you start behaving ignorantly, but it's that constant broadcast that I went to Descanso Gardens today in La Crescenta, yeah, well, north of Glendale. Went to Descanso Gardens, and I took my great nephew, and he was running, and he was everything was just like brand new for him. And he had never been in a setting like this, and it was so much stimulation at one time. 2 tracks. I mean, it was beyond wonderful, right? That's the message that Jesus is asking us to become like a little child. Can you open at the top where you don't walk into a situation and think you know all there is to know? When you look at a tree, Can you keep the question on your heart and not assume that when you look at a tree, you know all that there is to know? It's one of the challenges with naming things, because when we name things, that's what it becomes for us, right? And when we name it, we also cut off the question in the heart. And the way that you stop growing is to get rid of the question in the heart. You've got to keep that question alive. You have got to keep that question asking, what is this? What is this? Don't assume because I know the name of it is bird that that is all there is to know about it. And in any field of endeavor, anything great, they never stopped asking the question of something that other people thought that they already knew. You must keep the question on your heart. So there is only one right next step. There is only one right next step. I can't stress that enough. And you have to look at the way that the universe works. Everything in the universe works where there is one way. Like trees only grow up. They may bend, but they're still pointing up, even if they bend in the growth pattern. Marvin says the beginner's mind. Yes, that's exactly it. That if you can, in all of your wisdom, keep the beginner's mind. Is that from Buddhism? Is that what Buddhism talks about, Marvin, the beginner's mind? I know I've heard that term before, but that's exactly it. It's the beginner's mind. It's just you keep the wisdom. You don't discard the wisdom. The wisdom is valuable. You know, it is not, you don't throw it away, but you keep the beginner's mind that stays in a state of wonder. So I was saying there's only one right way to do things. In this universe, everything works in one way. You look at the way that flowers grow up, right? The earth rotates in one direction because, so this principle repeats. So in your life, for whatever is your next step, whether it is in your business or your personal life, your relationship, your health, in your money, whatever that is, there's only one next thing. What usually is happening is that we are so busy, so scattered, that we are overwhelmed. And so we cannot perceive the next right step. And so when you keep that beginner's mind the way that the widow does, you are open to hear your next right step. And you can go talk to other people if you want to, but other people don't have your answers. Your answers are within you. Your answers are within you. This applies to you, your business, your health, your finances, your friendships. There's only one right next step. And so you must have the spiritual poise to listen for your right next step. And so while go sell the oil may seem like a no-brainer, it is very possible that he could have said go form a partnership or go form a joint venture or, you know, go give away some free samples, or you get what I'm saying? So you hear what your right next step is. Because you're not meant to do what everybody else is meant to do. You're meant to do what you are meant to do. Learn to listen to your intuition. This is another name for the Christ within. Learn intuition to discern your right next step. And never assume, always ask. Questions are so important. we discount questions and we shame people into not asking questions, but questions are how you move through this life. And when you stop asking questions, you stop moving. When you stop asking questions, you stop moving. Questions are how you navigate this universe. And the quality of your experience can be summed up by the quality of your questions. Your life doesn't suck. You just don't ask good questions. If you clean up your questions, you will clean up your life. And I promise you. Because the thing that you're doing all day besides this inner conversations is you're constantly asking questions. There's no end to the questions. What am I going to wear today? What am I going to eat today? Well, what's available? What's in the kitchen? What am I going to put on? Okay, which route am I going to take to work? Okay, what time do I have to drop the kids off? Okay, what time do I have to leave to drop the kids off? Okay, and there's this constant questioning that's going on. For most of us, it's beneath the surface. We're not even mindful of the questions that are being asked. We'd be shocked. There was a meme that was on Facebook that said children ask 144 questions a day or something like that, or some number. And I'm thinking adults ask 100 and some, probably more questions per day. Kids just don't know how to filter it and keep it inside until we teach them how to keep it inside. But we are asking questions all day long. But most of it is beneath the surface, and most of it is mundane. And so if you want to change the quality of your life, change the quality of your questions. What can I do today to make today extraordinary? What would be something good that I could do for someone else today? What is the best give that I can give today? I want to treat myself today. What is success to fun things to do? Again, quality of the question. Sometimes we don't even ever ask that question. We just kind of go through the day and assume it was at the top of the day. How to know when to take action. The widow, if you go back to verse 6, in verse 6, the widow pours oil until she runs out of vessels. And the oil doesn't stop flowing until there are no more vessels. And so the first takeaway and the question that you want to ask yourself when you want to know, is it time to take action, is have you done or have you given your very best? Have you done or have you given your very best? The widow filled every vessel until there were no more vessels to be filled. Have you attended to every detail in your life or in your business in terms of a particular thing that you want to accomplish? Have you filled every vessel? Remember, the oil represents the oil of life, and those vessels, we talked about this last week, those vessels are the areas of her life that were depleted through wrong use. Those vessels were places where the life force had been dissipated. Now, we dissipate our life force in many different ways. Besides being jealous and frustrated and angry and not forgiving and all of those things, right? That depletes the life force. But it's also, we do it when we go do a bunch of talking. And it's like we're literally leaking substance. And we say, where'd the substance go? I don't have any energy to get anything done. Yeah, because you deposited it in all these little places. So her bringing the vessels back in was her bringing back those places in her life that she had depleted and pouring that oil of life over it. That was her preparation. Constance says, you sound like Abraham. You know I like me some Abraham. Oh, my leaking son. Yes. It's like a leak. You ever had a leaky faucet? It'll cost you a pretty penny from the electric company. And same thing with your mouth. It will cost you a pretty penny. And so we cannot afford to be willy-nilly. We must, part of what happens, and if you can get this picture in your mind, so our thoughts move substance, right? The substance of the unit, it's invisible, it's intangible, it enters into every form. So this is substance as the top of a sippy cup. This is substance in the form of a CD. This is substance in the form of my hand. So it enters into every form, and it stands under every form in complete integrity. What it allows this sippy cup top to be as it is the substance that's standing underneath it in complete integrity. It's what keeps it in its shape. It stands and it's invisible, right? But it's not entering it. This is not the final form, right? Because guess what? There's a cup, and then there's a bowl, and a CD, and a mouse. And so substance enters into all of these different forms, but never in finality. And so if you reduce this back to, if you dissolve this and crushed it back to the substance from which it came, it's simply then available to go into another form. And so the form may change, but the substance that stands underneath it is the same. Now, when we want to press something into expression, we've got to concentrate substance around a thought center. So when we want to bring money into expression, we've got to concentrate thought substance in that direction. But what happens with us is that we leak substance in all of these different areas. And so we never build up enough substance to spill over out of the invisible and into the visible. And so we believe that the law of attraction doesn't work, but it does. You're getting exactly what you think. We believe that dreams don't happen for us, but they do. You're getting exactly what you think. What you want to do is match up your thinking with your dreaming. And when you match up your thinking with your dreaming, then you will get that life that has been promised you, that they talked about in The Secret. And it will no longer be this hoodoo voodoo thing that The Secrets made it out to be. That you will understand that there is a spiritual law that stands underneath it that you can trust. Now, one of the things that happens with the widow is that she prepares until she compels the universe to move her in the next direction. She is preparing. Who knows how long? Was she there a day, 6 months, 6 days, 6 years? We don't know. All we know is that she poured that oil until the vessel, until there was no place else to put oil. And then she didn't assume that let me just go take this to market. I got all this oil. Then she went back and got additional instructions. Alita writes, I don't know if this is a Baptist thing, but it's taught that the oil that she had was for anointing, a small flask, not large cooking oil size. They don't know. I mean, meaning nobody knows. We don't know. Scholars do not know. Some people say it was for cooking. Some people say it was for anointing. Nobody knows. There's no evidence in the story to tell us what the oil was for. So make it up. So for me, what Marvin says, I decree something and then I vacillate. Yes, Johnny Coleman would say you got to stop pussyfooting. You got. It's either this or that, but all this in between, cut it out, because all the in between is what's keeping you from moving forward. But what I say the oil is, here's my theory. Just go with this, because the story, one of the beauties of this story is that there's so few details. So you really got to flesh it out to bring her to life. What I believe is that her husband has been dead for a while, and that she had been supporting herself, and she was fearful of supporting herself, and tried to sell the oil before and failed. And I also believe that she was a student of Elisha, or maybe even a student of her husband, or both. And that she she basically tried to do her best to take care of herself, but her fear of not being able to put her in the situation that she was in. And so when she gets to Elisha, all she has is the oil left, which she, that first venture failed. And so she's afraid to try again. And so she goes to Elisha just in a state of desperation, wishing that she could, to do something different. And Elisha teaches her where she went wrong in the process of manifestation. And the fact that she follows his instructions to a T tells me that she was a student of his, because that's what students do. That when you get in the presence of a true teacher, you know the truth has a ring to it, right? And she knew what she was hearing, and she follows his instructions to the letter. And so she is modeling what a real disciple looks like. So anyway, I want to keep going. I really want to harp on this. I do, but I got to keep going. But resist the temptation to cut out on your preparation. Some people say, you can prepare, and then and never take action. But the truth is that if you're truly preparing and truly growing, you will literally force the universe to move on you and move you to your next opportunity. There's no such thing as standing still. If you are truly preparing, truly getting better. Now, if you're sitting still and not getting better, no, the universe is not going to send you an opportunity because you're not getting better. But if you are truly getting better, literally your talent will make room for you. And her filling those vessels, she gets so engrossed in the preparation process that she loses count of the vessels, that she becomes engrossed in it. And how do we know that? Well, from verse 6 with her son, because she says, okay, bring me another vessel, because now she's just in it, and it's like there's a discipline that's happening. And I love that, because don't you think the creditor was still knocking? We don't know how long she was in that house. We don't. The story doesn't give us those details. Again, we don't know if it was a day, a year, a month, a week. We don't know. What we do know is that she was able to block out all of the stuff, all of the pressures that were on her, and concentrate on pouring that oil. And she concentrated so deeply that she lost count and lost track of where she was in the vessels that she was filling, until her son had to tell her, Mom, there's not another vessel. There's nothing else I can bring you. And then the oil stopped flowing. And so, for me, I believe that she is modeling for us how we're meant to prepare, that we're meant to just keep getting better, keep getting better, keep getting better. Whatever it is that you do, if you're a speaker, if you are a knitter, if you are a dancer, if you're a writer, if you're a business owner, whatever it is, that you just keep getting better, keep developing yourself, because you will reach a place where you push your next experience into your life, literally, because you have prepared that much. Now, if you're not preparing and you're not getting better, I wouldn't expect anything. The second question that she teaches us is, have you gotten into alignment with Spirit? Have you gotten into alignment with Spirit? Every answer you need lies within you. Every answer you need lies within you. You want to claim understanding in the midst of chaos. The chaos doesn't end just because you got the answer. The chaos ends because you stop paying attention to it. And as you stop paying attention to it, it loses the power that you've given it. So the creditors lose power in her experience as she begins to concentrate on the oil. I'll say that again. The creditors lose power as she begins to concentrate on the oil. The more you concentrate on developing yourself, the things that were plaguing you lose power. The way that you take power away from whoever is chasing you, whether it is B of A, whether it is a cancer diagnosis, is that you continue to develop yourself. Well, I only got one good lung. Let me make the best with this one good lung. I'm going to continue developing myself. You don't shut down life. Life continues, and you continue to develop yourself. You can, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck in this career. Guess what? Let me learn a language. You continue to develop yourself and expose yourself to new things. Why? Because what's happening is that you've got all of this potential inside of you. It's there. It's dormant until you do something with it. When you learn a new language, when you experience a new experience, what you do is that you give that potential a vehicle through which to come out into expression in your life. And so school is not so much you can get a job. School is so you can harness the potential that is within you. The purpose of this, of what we're doing here, is so that you can harness the potential that's within you. So the learning that you do, the learning that we all do, is for the purpose of drawing out into expression the God presence within. And so it'll pour out of us in whatever way we develop it. If we learn a language, it will pour out of us in the form of fluency in that language. If we develop writing, it will pour out of us in the form of fluency in writing. However we develop it, the God presence will pour out in that form. So everything that you're learning is for the purpose of drawing God out into expression. When it says, let my light shine, that's what let your light shine is. And you stop learning, but you sitting there talking about, I'm going to let my light shine. Let this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Not if you're not learning. If you're not learning, your light's not shining. So that process is constantly bringing it up out of you into expression. And everything that you do, it's just the way that God is coming out of you and into expression for all the world to see. Marvin Marvin says the Pope has one lung. No, he doesn't. Is that true? Are you making that up? Constance says, oh, shucks, don't knit, but I love crocheting. Y'all are killing me. Really, he has one lung. Guess what? He's making the best he has with that one lung, and he is wearing them out. This is a radical pope that we got in this latest pope. Don't reach for the answer. Reach first for peace. When you are working to get into alignment with spirit, don't reach for the answer. Reach first for peace. Why? Because there is nothing to be healed, only God to be revealed. The answer, the moment the problem appears, the answer also appears simultaneously. And what you see depends on your consciousness. The moment the problem appears, the answer shows up at the same time. It's just the way the universe works. Up shows up with down, right shows up with left, in shows up with out. Everything with its counterpart in this three-dimensional universe shows up. So whatever problem you face right now, the answer appeared at the same time. The one that you see is the one you have the eyes to see. Now, when you get to a state of peace, that's when you can see both ends. But as long as you're in the, I don't know how this is going to work out. Oh, this is the most terrible thing in the whole world. You can't see the answer that's been there all along. So you don't reach for the answer because the answer's already there. There's nothing to reach for. What you reach for is peace. And in the peace, God reveals herself. Y'all like that? Constance says, Reverend Mary said the same thing. If you are not continuing to learn, you can't teach her. Amen. That's it. You got to continue to learn. Andrea says, that was so good, Rev. We'll draw focus from the problem to shrink it and focus on what is desired to let our light shine, God into expression. Reach first for peace, not the answer. Beautiful. Thank you for that. But that's it. Constance say, I caught the she. Y'all know God ain't got no gender. So anybody, don't leave me no crazy messages on YouTube about, God is not a woman. God ain't a man either. So, get over it. Uh, but we use these pronouns because it helps make this experience personal to us. These pronouns help us to feel connected. And so you'll hear me say Father God or Father Mother God or Mother God. That it's just speaking to me. It's making the experience personal for me. And it's what you must do too. You must make the experience personal for you. You don't want to keep this God that is cold and principled. It's like, no, because God is a comforter. When I'm feeling bad and I'm caught all up in my feelings, God is there helping me, comforting me, loving me, caring for me, and being tender with me. So, it is, use language to your advantage. Don't use it to trap yourself. Yes, Marvin says, God will meet you at your level of consciousness. Amen. Oh, y'all, I'm at 8:58. Mercy. Okay. Okay, last question. What is your ROI for your effort? Now, here's the thing. This is the tricky part, because you are meant to work with detachment, but you need to look at your results. Okay? So I don't know how to say this any different. So it's a fine line, because you can spend so much time focusing on your results that you never get anywhere because you're scoreboard watching, right? But you need to look at your results so that you can know, am I doing this right? Am I getting results? Is this working? The scripture says you shall know them by their fruit. So you got to look at your fruit. Is your fruit health? Is your fruit wealth? Because if it's not, then you got some questions that you need to ask yourself. So I'm saying that because you are, don't think that I'm saying that the law of detachment does not apply. It is to look at your, and maybe I have to spend some more time on this because it's literally 8:59. Spend some more time with this, because you're meant to work with detachment. She filled every vessel with detachment, right? She filled those vessels until she ran out of places to develop. But the thing is that you're also meant to look at your fruit, so that you can know, am I getting this right? Am I working in the right direction? What is your ROI for your effort? Are you getting what you expect? Are you getting apples, but you expected oranges? Or are you getting peaches, but you wanted prunes? Or you got to look at the fruit. Are you getting broke when you expected abundance? Right? So you work with detachment to manifest that abundance, but you need to look at broke and say, what's going on? What's happening here that I'm still producing broke? Where am I off in my thinking? And let me go work with I am to get some clarity on why broke keeps showing up. I am will reveal to you your ROI. We always look to the world for our answers on how things are meant to play out. Even when you do the calculation of a ROI, I just assumed everybody knows, but it means return on investment. We look with it. It's actually a calculation and for ROI, right? And so we look at that and we say, okay, well, this is what we can expect, and it's like, no, it's not. Your ROI is based on your level of consciousness, but you work with God to maximize your level of consciousness. And so when she lost herself in the preparation and filled every vessel that was possible, that when it came time to take action and she went back to the I am for information on what to do, she realized that she had prepared so well that now she was going to reap enough income to not only pay the debt, but also to live on. That when you lose yourself in the preparation, when you concentrate on developing yourself, you always exceed where you think you could go. She came to him just needing to get the creditor off her back. By following his instructions to the letter, she reaped enough income to support her and her sons for a lifetime. That's huge. That's huge. So when is it time to take action? When you have given all that you know to give. When you have done all that you know to do, then it's time to take action. And you want to resist the temptation to cut out. When is it time to take action? Have you gotten into alignment with Spirit? Because Spirit will give you your next right step. If you're not hearing anything, it's probably some more preparation that needs to be done. When is it time to take action? What is my ROI for this effort? And how do I know what my ROI is? I can look at my fruit. And I can see, oh, that's how much I only put in? Okay. Andrea says, I love that she borrowed all the vessels that she could get. God will provide and give us as much as we can receive and accept. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So in review, I am has all your answers. The 3 questions to ask yourself: have you done or have you given your very best? Number 2, have you gotten into alignment with Spirit? And number 3, what is the ROI on your effort? You can look at your current fruit and know that answer. My call to action to you this week: number 1, resolve to consult Spirit every step along your journey. Number 2, practice reaching for peace when you need an answer to a challenging problem. And number 3, journal your results. All right, we finally got to Q&A. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Any questions? I'm checking all the places that I see questions. Thank you so much for tonight. We're 4 minutes over. Oh, okay, question number 2. Let me just go back to it. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, where's that little area? There we go. No, oh, wait. You know what, Alita? I don't know which number 2 you were talking about. I don't know if it was the question or the call to action. Have you done or have you given your very best? Have you gotten into alignment with Spirit? What is the ROI on your effort? And then the call to action: resolve to consult Spirit every step along your journey. Number 2, practice reaching for peace when you need an answer to a challenging problem. And number 3, journal your results. Next week, we start a new series. We're going to be working with Raymond Hallowell's Working with the Law is the name of the text. Working with the Law. I'll put it out in the email and on the blog. Working with the Law. That book, I think it's about 10 chapters, so that's going to take us through Panorama of Truth. One thing I should mention, just to give you a heads up, is that my church's conference, which is the Universal Foundation for Better Living, is the week of August 2nd. So I don't know what the internet connection is going to be in Jamaica. So assuming that I have internet, I cannot imagine that they don't have internet in Jamaica, because I communicate with people in Jamaica. But there is a possibility that I may need to skip the hangout that Thursday if I cannot, if the internet connection is not right. Let me read these comments. Constance says, powerful lesson. Unable to see you in action, but love to hear you. Thank you. OMG, love that book. It's an awesome book. We're going to turn it out. I'm going to concentrate on businesses, because we have a lot of people in our spiritual community that are business owners, and so we're going to look at the working with the law from the perspective of how do we maximize our businesses. Many people are distributors for direct marketing companies, consultants, life coaches, and so we're going to look at how these spiritual principles apply to our businesses. JJ says, thank you, and thank you, Constance. It noted that you install Google Effects, and I checked those plugins and install. Okay, all right, I'm saying something else. Marvin, take the first step even if you can't see the top of the stairs. Yes, I love that. I used that quote a while ago for something from Dr. King. I feel like I wanted to say something else. If you guys, I'm going to ask a favor. I would love your support. If you like this lesson, if you heard something that really moved you this evening, if you would leave a comment on YouTube. And the reason being is that it helps with people finding the videos when they're doing searches for Bible or whatever. If you could leave a comment on the video, that would be great. All right. Thank you. I release you in the love and the light of the Christ, and I affirm that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Have an absolutely beautiful week, and I will see you next Thursday. God bless.